This audiobook is your secret to wealth, an ancient call to remember the wealth that has always lived within you. As you listen, the veil lifts, and you will see you are not here to chase abundance, but to become its channel. This is the law of attraction as the ancients knew it. The secret of wealth. Introduction. In the depths of time, whispered through the corridors of ancient temples and sacred halls, a truth has persisted, waiting patiently for those ready to receive it. You hold in your hands not merely words on paper, but a key to unlocking the eternal wisdom that has guided masters and mystics through the ages. This knowledge comes to you now because you have awakened to its call, the stirring in your heart, the quiet knowing that there must be more. These are not random thoughts, but the echoes of a profound truth seeking to emerge through you. The universe operates through immutable laws, as constant as the rising sun and as reliable as the changing seasons. These laws govern not only the physical realm, but the spiritual dimensions that interpenetrate our material existence. The greatest of these is the law of attraction, though its true nature extends far beyond what modern teachings have revealed. You are not separate from this law. You are its living expression. Every breath you take is a demonstration of the infinite abundance that flows through all creation. The wealth you seek is not external to you. It is woven into the very fabric of your being, waiting to be recognized and expressed. The ancients understood that material prosperity was merely a reflection of spiritual alignment. They knew that true abundance flows not from desperate seeking, but from becoming a conscious channel through which universal supply naturally moves. This wisdom has been preserved through millennia, passed from teacher to student in unbroken succession. Now you stand at the threshold of remembering. The veil between what you have believed yourself to be and what you truly are grows thin. Through these teachings, you will rediscover your birthright of abundance, not as something to be gained, but as something to be remembered and reclaimed. Part 1. The Awakening, Remembering the Wealth Within. Chapter 1. The Dusty Key. In the mists of time, where wisdom lies dormant waiting to be unearthed, there lived a clockmaker named Walter. His workshop, a humble sanctuary of ticking timepieces, held more than the measure of hours. It cradled a secret beneath its weathered floorboards. One dawn, as golden rays pierced through dust-laden windows, Walter's chisel slipped, dislodging an ancient plank. There, in earth untouched for centuries, lay a key consumed by rust's patient embrace. With trembling hands, he discovered it fit perfectly into a chest hidden within his workshop's walls. A chest that, when opened, contained no jewels or coins, but something far more precious. A single scroll, its parchment preserved by time's gentle mercy. The scroll spoke of wealth's true nature, not as golden coins or precious gems, but as an eternal spring flowing from within. Its words, written in ink that seemed to shimmer with living light, revealed that abundance was not a distant treasure to be hunted, but an awakening of what already resides in the depths of your being. The scroll whispered that you are not separate from the source of all creation. You are its living vessel, its chosen instrument through which abundance flows naturally, endlessly. In another village where wind swept across empty fields, lived Evelyn, whose husband had passed, leaving her with barren land and heavy solitude. In her quiet moments, she discovered a truth that transformed her existence. Each morning and evening she would stand in her fields and speak to the universe, not as a beggar pleading for prosperity, but as one who remembered her oneness with the source of all abundance. "I am not separate from the wealth of creation," she would whisper to dawn. "I am its living expression." Day by day, her land began to transform. First, tender shoots emerged where nothing had grown before. Then, as if blessed by an unseen hand, her fields flourished with harvests that defied explanation. The villagers whispered of miracles, but Evelyn knew the truth. She had simply remembered who she was. Her story mirrors your own potential. Like Evelyn's fields, your life awaits the recognition of your true nature. The wealth you seek already flows through you, waiting only for your remembrance of this eternal truth. Sacred practice. As you retire each night, place your hand upon your heart. Feel its steady rhythm, the pulse of universal life force within you. Whisper with quiet certainty, "I am the source in form." Let these words sink deep into your being as you envision a golden light blooming from your heart's center, expanding until it encompasses your entire form. Continue this practice for 7 nights, allowing each repetition to deepen your remembrance of who you truly are. Chapter 2, The First Law. Through the mists of ancient wisdom comes a tale that unveils one of the most sacred laws of creation, the truth that all things begin in the unseen realms. In a sunlit attic, young Franklin discovered an empty leather-bound journal, its chapters pristine, waiting. This was no ordinary book, but the final gift from his grandfather, a man who had transformed himself from a humble shopkeeper into a figure of remarkable prosperity. As Franklin began filling those blank chapters with his dreams, something extraordinary awakened. Each vision he committed to paper seemed to cast ripples into the fabric of reality itself. What he wrote with pure intention began materializing in ways that defied ordinary explanation. Through Franklin's discovery, you now touch upon a fundamental truth. Everything in your material world was first born in the invisible realm of thought and feeling. This law operates with unwavering precision. Just as a mighty oak begins as an unseen essence within a seed, your external reality grows from the seeds you plant in the garden of your mind. Your thoughts are not mere fleeting shadows, they are sacred seeds of creation, each one carrying the potential to bloom into tangible form. In a small town not far from where you now sit, lived Clara, a dedicated teacher whose salary barely covered her basic needs. Yet each evening, she would close her eyes and step into a vision of her ideal home. In her mind's eye, she walked through rooms filled with warmth and light, touched the smooth wooden banister of a curved staircase, and breathed in the fragrance of roses from her garden. She held this vision, not with desperate longing, but with quiet certainty. Months passed, and Clara received news that changed her life. An unknown great-aunt had left her a house in her will. When Clara first stepped through its door, tears filled her eyes. There before her stood every detail she had visualized: the curved staircase, the light-filled rooms, even the rose garden waiting to bloom. This teaching speaks directly to you now. Your mind is a sacred garden, and you are its keeper. Every thought you nurture, every feeling you cultivate, plants a seed that must, by universal law, bring forth its own kind. You need not understand how this process works, just as a farmer need not understand how a seed transforms into a harvest. Your role is simply to plant wisely and tend your garden with care. Sacred practice. Find a quiet space where you will not be disturbed. For 5 minutes each day, allow yourself to step fully into the reality of your most abundant life. See it, feel it, breathe it in as if it exists now. Let your heart fill with the emotions of having received your desires. Do not question how it will come to be. Simply dwell in the feeling of its completion. This is not mere daydreaming. It is conscious creation at its most powerful. Chapter 3. The Rich Man in Rags. In the marble halls of a prestigious bank, Edwin commanded respect as one of the city's most successful financiers. His suits were tailored, his office overlooked the city's skyline, and his word carried the weight of gold. Yet the universe had a deeper lesson in store, one that would reveal the true nature of wealth. When the financial storms came, they swept away everything Edwin had built. His prestigious position vanished, his accounts emptied, and he found himself accepting work as a janitor in the very building he once helped manage. But in this apparent fall from grace lay a seed of transformation. Each evening, as Edwin polished the floors of the bank's great hall, he did something remarkable. Instead of dwelling in regret, he gave thanks for the gleaming marble beneath his hands, for the quiet dignity of honest work, for the ability to serve. In the solitude of those evening hours, he began to see himself not as a fallen banker, but as a steward of infinite abundance disguised as a janitor. In his mind's eye, he remained what he had always been, a master of prosperity. He walked the halls not as one who had lost everything, but as one who knew the secret of true wealth. Gradually, his circumstances began to shift. A chance conversation led to an investment opportunity. A forgotten account yielded unexpected returns. Within 3 years, Edwin's wealth had returned tenfold, but now it rested on the unshakable foundation of inner knowing rather than external position. Your current circumstances are but a shadow of past thoughts, not a prediction of future possibilities. Just as a projector casts images onto a screen, your consciousness projects your reality. Change the film, and the projection must change. Consider Agnes, who lived in a small apartment, counting pennies for basic necessities. Year after year, she believed her bank balance defined her worth, until she discovered the ancient truth. She began declaring her prosperity regardless of external evidence. "I am abundance itself," she would affirm, even as she rode the bus to her modest job. "Wealth flows to me through expected and unexpected channels." At first, nothing seemed to change, but Agnes maintained her practice, knowing that the inner shift must precede the outer manifestation. Gradually, opportunities began appearing. A promotion, an inheritance from a distant relative, investments that multiplied beyond expectation. Her outer world had no choice but to reflect her inner certainty. Sacred practice. Write down these 3 empowering identities. I am a magnet for infinite abundance. I am one with the source of all supply. I am prosperity in expression. Speak these truths aloud each morning as you rise and each night as you retire. Let them become the very frequency of your being. Chapter 4. The Currency of Belief. In the quiet hours before dawn, Martha sat at her sewing machine, her fingers guiding fabric through with practiced grace. For years, she had charged the lowest prices in town, believing herself unworthy of asking for more. You see, Martha carried a belief as thin and fragile as the threads she worked with, that her work could never command true value. But transformation often arrives in unexpected moments. One morning, as sunlight spilled across her workbench, Martha gazed at a gown she had just completed. Its intricate beadwork caught the light, creating patterns that seemed to dance. In that moment, something shifted within her. She saw not just fabric and thread, but artistry worthy of recognition. That day, Martha did something that terrified her. She doubled her prices. To her amazement, not only did her clients stay, but they began referring others, speaking of her work as masterful and extraordinary. The universe had simply been waiting for her to recognize her own worth before reflecting it back multiplied. This truth extends beyond Martha's story into your own life. Belief is the currency of manifestation. What you believe about your worth becomes the invisible price tag you place upon yourself, and the universe honors that valuation precisely. Consider Alfred, who carried the weight of financial struggle like an inherited curse. "Money slips through my fingers," he would say, watching his accounts dwindle despite his best efforts. Then he met an aging sage in a marketplace who shared a simple yet powerful insight. "Your belief in the curse is the only curse there is." The sage challenged Alfred to experiment for 30 days, believing instead that money naturally flowed to him in abundance. Though skeptical, Alfred committed to this new thought pattern. Within weeks, opportunities began appearing. A business partnership, an unexpected inheritance, investments that flourished. The curse had never existed except in his mind. Your financial reality flows from your deepest beliefs about money, abundance, and your worthiness to receive. Like water finding its own level, your external circumstances will always align with your internal convictions. The universe operates with mathematical precision, returning to you exactly what you believe to be true. Sacred practice. Take your journal and write your 5 most prominent beliefs about money. Be ruthlessly honest. These beliefs have shaped your financial reality until now. Circle the one that serves your highest good. Perhaps it is "money flows to me easily," or "I am worthy of abundance." Speak this chosen belief aloud 3 times daily, letting its truth sink deeper with each repetition. Watch as the universe begins to orchestrate itself around your new financial frequency. Chapter 5: The Gatekeeper of Desire. In the heart of a sleepy town lived Lucille, whose dreams of distant shores whispered to her in the quiet hours. Each morning she would gaze at travel magazines, quickly hiding them away when neighbors visited, as if her yearnings were something to be ashamed of. "What right have I," she would think, "to dream of Venice's canals or Paris's lights when I should be content here?" You see, desire itself is a sacred messenger. When you feel that pull towards something greater, it is not random chance or idle fantasy. It is the universe speaking through you, revealing the path to your destined abundance. Lucille's story teaches an eternal truth. Desire, when embraced fully and without shame, becomes the compass pointing toward your highest good. One autumn morning, Lucille stood before her mirror and spoke words that changed everything. "I allow myself to want what I want." Simple words, yet they carried the power of permission. Permission to dream fully, to want completely, to desire without apology. Within weeks, an unexpected letter arrived. Her late husband's investments had matured, providing exactly enough for the journey she had denied herself for so long. This principle extends beyond mere coincidence. When you grant yourself permission to desire fully, you align with the universe's natural flow of abundance. Your desires are not random, they are divine appointments waiting to manifest. Consider Charles, who operated the same machine in the same factory for 15 years. His desires for more would come as whispers, which he would quickly dismiss as unrealistic. "Who am I to want more?" he would ask himself. But one day, Charles began treating his desires as sacred messages rather than unwelcome intruders. He allowed himself to imagine boldly, to desire greatly. He began speaking his intentions with authority rather than timidity. "I am worthy of prosperity. My skills deserve recognition." Within months, Charles was promoted to supervisor, then manager, then regional director. His income tripled as his confidence in his desires grew. His story reveals that desire is not just a want, it is a power waiting to be unleashed through your conscious permission. Sacred practice. Take a pristine sheet of paper and write down one desire that you have been afraid to fully own. Light a white candle in a quiet space. Hold the paper in both hands and speak your desire aloud, saying, "This desire is holy, and I release it to the divine." Feel the power of giving yourself complete permission to want what you want. Let the flame remind you that your desires are pure, sacred, and worthy of manifestation. Chapter 6. The Echo of Lack. In a small town where shadows of past hardships lingered long, Ruth carried the weight of scarcity in every word she spoke. "I'll never have enough," she would whisper, not realizing these words were seeds planting tomorrow's garden. "Times are always hard," she would say, and so they remained, faithful to her proclamation. You hold in your hands a truth as old as creation itself. Your words are living forces that shape the invisible matrix of your reality. When you speak lack, you commune with it. When you declare a limitation, you draw its borders around you. Ruth's life mirrored this principle with perfect precision. Each declaration of "I can't afford it" or "money always runs out" became a command to the universe, which could only respond in kind. But the power that binds is the same power that frees. Ruth's awakening came through a simple observation. Her wealthy neighbor never spoke of lack, even in difficult times. Instead, words like opportunity and abundance graced her lips. Ruth began to understand that she had been speaking a language of limitation, and the universe, ever faithful, had been answering in the same tongue. Consider now the tale of Joseph, whose small grocery store teetered on the edge of closure. His daily vocabulary was filled with, "I can't compete," and "it's impossible to succeed." Yet through the guidance of a wise friend, he began a practice of conscious speech. Every "I can't" became "I am able." Every "it's impossible" transformed into "I see endless possibilities." The shift was subtle at first. A customer here, an opportunity there. But as Joseph maintained his new language of possibility, the very atmosphere of his store began to change. Customers spoke of a new energy, a sense of abundance that drew them in. Within months, his store became the heart of the community, prosperity flowing as naturally as his new words of abundance. This mirrors an ageless truth. The language you speak becomes the life you live. Your words are not mere sounds dissipating in the air. They are instructions to the field of infinite possibility that surrounds you. When you shift your speech, you shift your reality. Sacred practice. For one complete journey of the sun, guard your tongue as carefully as you would guard a precious jewel. Let no word of lack pass your lips. When the temptation to speak of limitation arises, pause and declare instead, "I trust supply is always flowing." Notice how this new language begins to reshape your relationship with abundance. The universe awaits your words. Speak to it in the language of prosperity and watch as it responds in kind. Chapter 7. The Merchant of Shadows. In the bustling marketplace of minds where thoughts are traded as freely as coins, there lived a man named Harrison. His trade was not in goods but in shadows, selling newspapers that spoke of economic doom, spreading whispers of impending financial collapse. With each fearful story he peddled, his own pockets grew heavier, yet his soul grew lighter. You see, Harrison had mastered the art of profiting from humanity's deepest fears about money. He knew that scarcity sold better than abundance, that worry was more infectious than faith. Each morning he would gather his dark merchandise, stories of bankruptcy, foreclosures, and market crashes, and dispense them to eager minds thirsting for confirmation of their worst financial fears. Until one day when an elderly woman in white approached his stand. Instead of purchasing his papers, she placed a single golden coin in his palm. "You trade in shadows," she said, "but shadows are merely the absence of light, and what you give to others you first give to yourself." The coin felt unusually heavy in Harrison's hand, and as he gazed into its surface, he saw his own reflection, aged and burdened by the very fears he had been spreading. In that moment, he understood. He had become a merchant of lack, and lack had become his most faithful customer. This truth echoes through the ages. The collective consciousness is filled with images of scarcity, stories of not enough. These are not your stories. They were never your truth. They are borrowed beliefs, passed down through generations who forgot their connection to the infinite source. Consider now Lillian, the keeper of books at the city library. She made a radical choice: to curate her mental library as carefully as she organized her shelves. She removed every volume of lack from her thoughts, every chapter of limitation from her attention. When others spoke of recession, she immersed herself in biographies of abundance. When the media shouted of scarcity, she turned instead to texts that sang of prosperity. Day by day, her inner library grew rich with stories of possibility. And as within, so without, her life began to reflect the wealth of her carefully chosen thoughts. Opportunities appeared like new books on her shelves, each one opening to a page of abundance. Sacred practice, and embark now on a shadow fast. For one complete cycle of the sun, shield your consciousness from all messages of lack. Turn away from the merchants of fear who profit from your worry. Avoid news that speaks of scarcity, conversations that echo limitation, and advertisements that whisper of not enough. In your journal, record what you discover in this fast from fear. Notice how your energy shifts when you stop consuming the diet of lack that the world so readily serves. Chapter 8. The Divine Treasurer Within. In the quiet hours before dawn, when the veil between worlds grows thin, Milton sat at his desk reviewing columns of numbers. For 20 years he had served as guardian of other people's wealth, watching fortunes rise and fall through the precise dance of addition and subtraction. Yet something was shifting within him, a whisper so subtle it might have been mistaken for imagination. "Move your office to the eastern corner," the voice suggested one morning. Though it made no logical sense, Milton followed this mysterious prompting. Within weeks, a wealthy client, who would have missed his old office entirely, found him through his new location and tripled his business. You see, within each soul dwells a divine treasurer, an aspect of infinite intelligence that knows the shortest path to abundance. This inner guide speaks not in shouts but in whispers, not in demands but in gentle nudges. It communicates through sudden inspirations, unexpected urges, and what many dismiss as coincidence. The language of this inner guide is subtle. It arrives as a flash of knowing, a persistent thought, or even a physical sensation drawing you toward or away from certain choices. When you attune yourself to this sacred frequency, you discover that wealth has been trying to reach you all along. Beatrice knew nothing of inner guidance when she first felt the inexplicable urge to paint. A seamstress by trade, she had never held a brush. Yet the nudge persisted, growing stronger with each passing day. Against all rational judgment, she invested her savings in art supplies. For months she painted in secret, following only the quiet promptings of her heart. Then came the day when a stranger, drawn by some mysterious force, knocked on her door. This visitor, a gallery owner, transformed Beatrice's paintings into a fortune beyond her wildest dreams. These promptings you feel, these subtle inclinations that seem to arise from nowhere, they are messages from the infinite source of all supply. The universe speaks to you through this inner knowing, revealing the path to abundance that has been prepared for you alone. Sacred practice. As the sun rises each morning before the world's noise drowns out the subtle voice within, sit in sacred silence. Speak these words with reverence. Divine Treasurer, guide me today. Then, with pen in hand, allow the wisdom within to flow onto paper. Record every nudge, no matter how small. Note the symbols that catch your attention, the ideas that arise unbidden. These are not random thoughts. They are golden threads leading you to your prosperity. Chapter 9. The Sacred Contract of Prosperity. In the heart of a bustling city lived a young boy named Henry, whose eyes sparkled with dreams of prosperity. Each night he would gaze at the stars and imagine himself blessed with abundance. Yet those around him whispered that such desires were base, unspiritual, a mark of worldly attachment. You carry within you similar dreams, visions of abundance that society may have taught you to suppress. Yet these desires did not arise by chance. They are echoes of an ancient agreement your soul made before taking form in this world. Deep within the fabric of your being lies a sacred contract, a divine agreement to experience the fullness of abundance. This covenant was not written in ink, but etched in the very essence of your soul. When you came forth into this world, you brought with you this promise: to manifest prosperity as an expression of your spiritual nature. Those who tell you that wealth and spirituality cannot coexist fail to understand a fundamental truth. Abundance is not separate from divinity. It is an expression of it. The universe itself exists in infinite abundance. Every blade of grass, every grain of sand, every star in the heavens speaks of unlimited supply. Consider Eliza, a dedicated nurse who spent years believing her calling demanded sacrifice. Yet one morning, while tending to her patients, she felt a stirring, a remembrance of her soul's agreement. She began affirming her worthiness of abundance not as a want, but as a divine birthright. "I am worthy of prosperity," she would whisper as she worked. "My abundance serves my purpose." She did not chase wealth or strain toward it. Instead, she simply opened herself to receive what was already ordained. Within months, an unexpected inheritance appeared, followed by opportunities that multiplied her income, while allowing her to serve even more deeply. Your journey mirrors Eliza's awakening. The wealth you seek is not a distant prize to be won, but a birthright waiting to be claimed. Your soul knows this truth. Every cell of your being resonates with this ancient agreement. The resistance you may feel toward prosperity is not your truth. It is merely the echo of others' limitations. Your authentic nature is abundance itself. You are here to thrive, to prosper, to experience the fullness of life in all its dimensions. Sacred practice. Find a quiet moment as the day begins or ends. Place your hand upon your heart, the seat of your soul's wisdom. Close your eyes and connect with the truth that has always lived within you. 7 times, with deepening conviction, whisper these words: "I accept my sacred agreement to live in divine prosperity." Feel each word awakening the covenant your soul made with the universe. Let this remembrance wash away all doubt, all unworthiness, all resistance to your natural state of abundance. Chapter 10. The Secret Hidden in the Open. In the halls of a great library, where ancient tomes gathered dust and whispered their secrets, there lived a scholar named Clarence. His life was devoted to uncovering hidden wisdom, traveling far and wide in search of sacred texts that might reveal the mysteries of abundance. His shelves groaned with rare manuscripts, his mind brimmed with esoteric knowledge, yet wealth remained elusive. You, like Clarence, may have searched endlessly for the key to abundance, believing it must be complex, hidden, or difficult to attain. Yet truth often speaks through the most unexpected vessels. One afternoon, as Clarence pored over yet another ancient scroll, a young girl wandered into his study. Looking at his towering shelves of books, she asked with innocent wisdom, "Why do you search so hard for what you already are?" Her words pierced through years of seeking. In that moment, Clarence understood. The wealth he pursued had never been separate from his being. The secret was not hidden in his books, but in plain sight, waiting only for his recognition. This truth stands before you now. You are already wealthy. Not in potential, not in some future state, but in this very moment. The abundance you seek is not something to be gained, but something to be acknowledged. Consider Mabel, who sorted letters at the post office, handling thousands of messages yet missing the one meant for her. One day, while organizing old books in her grandmother's attic, she discovered a simple journal. Opening it, she found not complex formulas for success, but a single line. All you seek lives within you now. In that moment, something awakened in Mabel, not new knowledge, but a remembrance. She realized she had always known this truth, carried it in her bones, breathed it with every breath. Her life transformed not through gaining, but through recognizing it. The universe has placed this same truth in your hands. You have always known it, though perhaps you've forgotten. The secret of abundance is not complex. It is so simple that the seeking mind often overlooks it. You are wealthy now. You are abundance itself. All that remains is to remember. This remembrance is not intellectual. It is experiential. It comes not through study, but through stillness, not through seeking, but through allowing. Sacred practice. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed. Close your eyes and let your breath become gentle and natural. With each inhale, feel yourself settling deeper into presence. Then, with quiet attention, speak these words. Show me what I already know. Remain in receptive silence, allowing whatever arises to surface naturally. After several minutes, open your journal and record what you discovered in this space of knowing. The truth you uncover will be your own, unique, personal, and perfectly aligned with your path. Part 2, the alignment, walking the path of divine prosperity. Chapter 11, the altar of gratitude. In the heart of a small village where the aroma of fresh bread once filled the morning air, Florence stood before the charred remains of her beloved bakery. The fire had claimed everything, her ovens, her recipes, her life's work. Yet in that moment of apparent loss, she made a choice that would alter the very fabric of her reality. Each dawn, while others still slept, Florence would stand in the ashes and whisper her gratitude. Not for what was lost, but for what remained, the strength in her hands, the knowledge in her heart, the air in her lungs. Thank you, she would say, for this chance to begin again. She gave thanks for customers she did not yet have, for ovens that did not yet exist, for abundance that had not yet manifested. You see, gratitude is not merely a response to receiving. It is the very power that draws forth abundance from the invisible realm. When you stand in genuine thankfulness, Even amid apparent lack, you activate an ancient and powerful law. That which you appreciate, appreciates. As Florence continued her practice, mysterious forces began to move. A traveling merchant offered her use of his kitchen. Someone found her grandmother's recipe book, untouched by the flames. A wealthy customer proposed a partnership that would transform her small bakery into something grander than she had ever imagined. Consider Wesley, whose small shop faced closure during difficult times. Rather than dwelling in worry, he began each morning by listing 3 things he was grateful for: customers he hadn't met, opportunities he couldn't yet see, abundance that seemed distant. Within weeks, new customers appeared as if guided by an unseen hand. A chance meeting led to a profitable new venture. His gratitude had become a magnet, drawing forth the very things he gave thanks for. These stories illuminate a truth as old as time itself. Gratitude is the altar where wealth is born. When you stand in thanksgiving, you declare to the universe your readiness to receive. Your grateful heart becomes the vessel into which abundance naturally flows. This is not positive thinking. It is spiritual law in action. Every thank you uttered in faith becomes a seed planted in fertile soil, growing into manifestation by divine law. Your gratitude is not denied when offered in truth. Sacred practice. As the sun rises each morning, take your journal in hand. Write down 5 specific things you are grateful for, not as hopes or wishes, but as if they are already manifest. Feel the emotion of having received these blessings. Let your gratitude ring true in your heart, knowing that what you appreciate in faith must, by spiritual law, appreciate in form. Chapter 12. The Invisible Bank. In a sun-dappled music room filled with the gentle whispers of piano keys, Eleanor discovered a truth that would transform not just her finances, but the very fabric of her existence. Each morning, she began to treat her emotions as currency, making conscious deposits into an unseen treasury that governed all manifestation. When joy filled her heart while teaching a student, she whispered inwardly, "I deposit this delight." When peace washed over her during morning meditation, she acknowledged, "I bank this serenity." She noticed how fear and worry felt like withdrawals, depleting her energetic account. You too possess such an account in the cosmic bank of creation. Every emotion you carry, every vibration you maintain, accumulates interest in realms beyond physical sight. Just as money grows through compound interest, your emotional deposits multiply through spiritual law. Eleanor watched in wonder as her practice began reflecting in her material world. New students appeared, unexpected opportunities arose, and abundance flowed with an ease she had never known. She had discovered that wealth begins as a frequency before it manifests as currency. Consider now the tale of Gerald, a merchant whose nights were once filled with financial worry. He realized that his constant anxiety was making endless withdrawals from his energetic account. With conscious effort, he began depositing trust instead of fear, certainty instead of doubt. Though his outer circumstances remained unchanged at first, he felt a shift in the invisible, like the moment before dawn when light hasn't yet broken but darkness begins to soften. Within weeks, Gerald noticed subtle changes. A chance encounter led to a profitable partnership. A long-standing debt was unexpectedly forgiven. His business began to thrive, though he had changed nothing except his inner vibration. These stories reveal an eternal truth. You are always making deposits into the universal bank of creation. Every moment of peace, every flutter of excitement, every steady breath of confidence, These are your true wealth-building blocks. Conversely, each worry, each doubt, each moment of lack consciousness makes withdrawals from your energetic account. The question is not whether you are depositing, for you are always investing something. The question is, what quality of energy are you banking? What vibration are you compounding? The universe, that eternal banker, multiplies whatever you deposit with unfailing precision. Sacred practice. As each day draws to a close, take your journal and write one sentence beginning with, "Today I deposited the energy of." Reflect deeply on what you have been building in the unseen vaults of creation. Let this practice awaken you to the power of your emotional investments, knowing that what you consistently deposit must, by spiritual law, return multiplied. Chapter 13. The Mirror of the Golden Mind. In the heart of an ancient town, where cobblestone streets whispered tales of old wisdom, lived Clifford, a master glassworker whose hands shaped not just glass, but destiny itself. With sacred intention, he crafted a mirror unlike any other, its edges adorned with carefully etched blessings, ancient symbols of prosperity that seemed to shimmer in the light. Each morning, Clifford would stand before his creation, meeting his own gaze with unwavering faith. "I am abundance made visible," he would declare, and the mirror seemed to pulse with an inner light. As days passed, a curious pattern emerged. The more he gazed into his blessed mirror while holding thoughts of prosperity, the more his workshop filled with patrons seeking his artistry. You too possess such a mirror, not one of glass and silver, but of mind and spirit. Your consciousness is the surface upon which all of life's experiences are reflected. What you hold steadily in your mind's eye must, by universal law, materialize in your visible world. Consider now the tale of Nora, whose life was once shadowed by mounting debts. Her inner mirror had grown clouded with images of lack, reflecting back a reality that matched her troubled thoughts. Then came the day she learned of the mirror principle, that her outer world could only reflect what she first held within. With diligence, Nora began polishing her inner mirror. Each day she would close her eyes and paint detailed pictures of herself living in peaceful prosperity. She imagined her bills paid with ease, her bank account flowing with abundance, her heart free from financial worry. Though her circumstances hadn't yet changed, she maintained these inner images with the patience of one who knows the law cannot fail. Gradually, her outer world began shifting to match her inner vision. Unexpected opportunities arose, creative solutions appeared, and her financial burden began to lift, all reflecting the new images she had planted in her mental mirror. These stories unveil a timeless truth. Your mind is the mirror that projects your reality. Whatever image you hold consistently within must manifest without. This is not mere positive thinking. It is the operation of cosmic law, as certain as gravity. Sacred practice. Stand before a mirror, gaze deeply into your own eyes, and speak with quiet authority. I see prosperity within me. I only reflect abundance. Let these words ripple through the mirror of your consciousness, knowing they must return as your visible reality. Before we get into the next chapter, you can download a free ebook version of this audiobook using the link in the pinned comment below this video. Chapter 14. The Thought That Pays. In the quietude of an office building where dreams often lay dormant beneath the hum of typewriters and telephones, worked Mildred, a secretary whose life was about to transform through the power of a single crystalline thought. Each morning, as she arranged papers and answered calls, she began holding one radiant idea in her mind: I am valuable. At first, nothing seemed to change in her outer world. Yet within the sanctuary of her consciousness, this thought took root, growing stronger with each repetition. Like a jewel catching light from different angles, this simple affirmation began illuminating every corner of her being. You see, thoughts are not mere whispers in the wind. They are seeds planted in the fertile soil of the universal mind. When you hold one pure thought with unwavering faith, you activate forces beyond mortal comprehension. This is the hidden law that governs all manifestation. Your dominant thought becomes your dominant reality. As Mildred continued nurturing this singular thought, the universe began rearranging itself to match her inner conviction. Opportunities appeared as if summoned by an invisible hand. Her supervisor began entrusting her with more significant responsibilities. Clients noticed her exceptional service. A position opened that perfectly matched her talents, offering double her current salary. Now turn your attention to Thomas, a soldier stationed far from home. In the stillness of his bunk each night, he would silently affirm, "Wealth flows to me naturally and easily." While others spoke of scarcity, Thomas held firm to his inner knowing. Years later, after leaving service, he established a thriving business that seemed to flourish effortlessly. These tales illuminate an eternal truth. Your thoughts are not passive observers of reality, they are active creators of it. When you choose one empowering thought and give it your complete attention, you set in motion a chain of events that must lead to its physical manifestation. Remember, the universe responds not to the volume of your thoughts, but to their clarity and persistence. One pure thought, held steadily, carries more power than 1,000 scattered intentions. Sacred practice. Select one thought of financial empowerment that resonates deeply within your soul. Write it 10 times and speak it aloud 10 times each day for 1 week. Let this thought become the cornerstone of your new financial reality. As you perform this practice, know that you are not merely repeating words, you are programming the very fabric of creation. Chapter 15, The Law of the Open Hand. In a small town where everyone knew each other's struggles, Bernice's grocery store stood as a testament to the ancient law of circulation. Each morning, as she arranged her produce and stocked her shelves, she would quietly set aside the freshest fruits and vegetables for those who could barely afford bread. When elderly Mrs. Thompson would shuffle in with counted pennies, Bernice would somehow always have extra items that needed to be given away. You must understand that true giving flows not from obligation or fear of lack, but from an inner knowing of abundance. Bernice gave not because she felt she should, but because she understood the sacred mathematics of the universe, that every gift creates a circle of energy that must complete itself. As weeks turned to months, something remarkable began to unfold. The townspeople started bypassing the larger stores, drawn to Bernice's small shop by an invisible force they couldn't explain. Her business flourished beyond measure, yet she never raised her prices or changed her giving ways. This is the law in action. What flows out must return, multiplied by the intention behind the giving. Consider now the tale of Harold, known throughout his community as one who clutched tightly to every coin. One day something shifted within him, and he began leaving generous tips at the local diner. At first his hand trembled as he placed the extra dollars on the table. Yet with each act of giving, an inner warmth grew stronger. Within weeks, unexpected checks began arriving in his mail, old investments suddenly paying dividends, a forgotten insurance policy discovered, a distant relative's bequest. You see, the universe operates through circulation. When you close your hand, you close the circuit of abundance. When you open it, allowing resources to flow through you rather than stopping with you, you become a channel for infinite supply. The key lies not in the amount you give, but in the consciousness behind your giving. Give with fear, and you affirm lack. Give with faith, and you declare abundance. This is why some give much, yet receive little, while others give what they can and receive abundantly. The difference lies in the spiritual understanding behind the act. Sacred practice. Today, give something, whether it be money, time, or a kind word, without any expectation of return. As you give, silently affirm, "As I give, so I receive." Feel the truth of these words in your heart, knowing that you are activating the eternal law of circulation. Chapter 16. The Silence That Speaks in Gold. In the gentle hours before dawn, Pearl would sit motionless in her small sewing room, surrounded by patterns and threads. The world outside had not yet stirred, and in this sacred stillness, she discovered a truth that would transform her life. Each morning, as her breath deepened and her mind cleared, inspiration would flow like golden threads of light. You must understand that wealth speaks in whispers, not shouts. In the clamor of the world, its voice is often drowned out by the noise of striving and struggling. Yet in silence, when your mind becomes like still water, divine inspiration can reflect clearly upon its surface. Pearl began receiving designs in these quiet moments, patterns and styles that seemed to emerge from the silence itself. Her creations, born in stillness, soon caught the attention of those who could sense their unique energy. Her small tailoring business transformed as if touched by an unseen hand. The universe operates through channels of stillness. Just as a radio must be precisely tuned to receive a clear signal, your consciousness must be stilled to receive the frequency of abundance. This is not mere metaphor, it is spiritual law in action. Consider Vincent, whose daily route as a mailman took him past hundreds of homes. Each morning before beginning his deliveries, he would sit in his car in perfect silence. One day, in that space of quiet receptivity, an idea emerged, crystal clear and fully formed. He could offer a specialized service to the elderly on his route, helping them digitize their precious old photographs. This insight, received in silence, blossomed into a thriving enterprise that brought both wealth and purpose. You see, silence is not empty. It is full of answers. When you quiet your mind, you enter the treasury of infinite intelligence. Here, in this sacred space, the divine speaks not in words, but in knowledge that unfolds with perfect timing. The key lies not in asking how or when abundance will come, but in creating the inner conditions where guidance can be received. Like a lake that must be still to reflect the stars, your mind must be calm to reflect divine inspiration. Sacred practice. Find a quiet place where you will not be disturbed. Sit in silence for 10 minutes daily, allowing your breath to become slow and steady. When the silence deepens, when you feel yourself settling into that sacred space, ask inwardly, "What would you have me receive?" Then wait, empty of expectation, ready to receive whatever wisdom arrives. Trust that in this silence, you are tuning to the frequency of infinite supply. Chapter 17. The Wealth of Worthiness. In a modest cottage on the outskirts of town, Marion would rise before the sun to clean the homes of the wealthy. Each morning she would gaze at their abundance with a familiar ache, believing such prosperity belonged to others but never to her. Yet within her heart stirred an ancient truth, waiting to be uncovered. You see, the universe operates through an immutable law. It can only match your inner sense of worth. Like a mirror reflecting back exactly what stands before it, abundance flows to the degree you believe you deserve its gifts. Marion's transformation began the day she picked up her pen, trembling slightly, and wrote her first love letter to herself. "You are precious," she wrote, tears falling onto the page. "You are deserving of all good things." Day by day, her letters became bolder, more certain. As her inner dialogue shifted from criticism to compassion, subtle changes began appearing in her outer world. A client doubled her wages. Another recommended her services to wealthy friends. Opportunities arose as naturally as flowers turning toward the sun. This truth remains unchanged through all ages. Wealth is not earned through labor alone, but through alignment with your inherent worth. When you carry shame about receiving, when guilt whispers that you don't deserve abundance, you create an energetic barrier that even the most determined universe cannot penetrate. Consider Leonard, a generous soul who gave endlessly to others but could never accept in return. His breakthrough came when he began standing before his mirror each morning, declaring with quiet certainty, "I am worthy." At first, the words felt foreign on his tongue. Yet as he persisted, something shifted within his field of energy. Clients began insisting on paying more than his asking price. Unexpected checks arrived in the mail. The universe simply reflected back his newfound sense of worth. You must understand, worthiness is not something you earn like wages. It is your birthright, waiting to be remembered. Just as a diamond buried in mud remains a diamond, your inherent value never diminishes. It only awaits your recognition. Sacred practice. Find a quiet moment and write a letter to yourself, as if from the universe itself. Let the words flow from that infinite source of love and abundance. Begin with "My beloved," and allow divine wisdom to pour through your pen. Write of your inherent worth, your right to receive, your sacred place in the flow of abundance. Seal this letter with intention and read it aloud each morning for 7 days. Let each reading be a remembrance of what has always been true. You are worthy beyond measure. Chapter 18, The Spell of Not Enough. In the shadow of the old mill where the wheels of industry turned ceaselessly, Beatrice would mutter the same words each morning. There's never enough. These words, passed down through generations of her family, had become more than a phrase. They were a spell, binding her to a reality of perpetual lack. You may recognize this pattern in your own life. Words hold power beyond mere sound and syntax. They are the threads from which you weave your reality. Each time you speak of scarcity, you strengthen its hold upon your world. Yet the power to break this spell lies within the same instrument that created it, your voice. When Beatrice finally understood this truth, she began catching herself mid-sentence. Each time the familiar "there's never enough" rose to her lips, she would pause, breathe, and declare instead, "Everything I need flows to me now." At first, this new declaration felt hollow, artificial. But as days turned to weeks, something shifted in the fabric of her experience. Over time, opportunities appeared. A forgotten investment matured. Customers sought her skills specifically. The universe simply responded to her new command. This ancient wisdom reveals itself through Floyd's transformation as well. For 30 years, he lived by the creed of barely getting by. It was more than a belief. It was his identity, his story, his prison. Until one autumn morning, when he chose to speak a different truth. With each conscious rejection of lack, with each intentional embrace of abundance, new channels of prosperity revealed themselves. A side business flourished. Partnerships formed. Resources appeared as if summoned by his shifted consciousness. You see, scarcity is not a condition of the world, but a spell cast by repeated thoughts and words. Every time you speak of not enough, you reinforce the hypnotic suggestion of lack. Yet in this very moment, you hold the power to break this spell. Your words are the wand with which you conduct the symphony of your experience. Sacred practice. For the next 3 days, become the guardian of your speech. When you catch yourself speaking the language of lack, pause. Take a conscious breath. Then speak these words with conviction. I am connected to infinite supply. Keep a small journal nearby to record how this shift in language affects your emotional state. Notice how your energy changes, how your perception shifts, how your reality begins to mirror your new declaration. This is not mere positive thinking, it is the ancient art of spell breaking, of reclaiming your true power as a creator of your experience. Chapter 19, The Seed of Vision. In the quiet hours before dawn, Lois arranged flowers in her small shop, unaware that she was about to discover one of the universe's most potent secrets. Behind her counter, she created what she thought was a simple collage: images of thriving gardens, international flower markets, and a sunlit studio space. Yet this vision board would prove to be far more than paper and pictures. It was a spiritual contract with the infinite. You see, vision is not merely an act of imagination. It is a sacred technology known to the mystics of old. When you create a clear picture of your desires and infuse it with emotional energy, you establish a magnetic field that draws those very experiences toward you. Within weeks of placing her vision board, Lois noticed something extraordinary. A customer requested exactly the kind of elaborate garden design she had pictured. Another offered her the opportunity to source flowers from the very markets she had dreamed of visiting. The universe was responding to her visual prayer with precise matching vibrations. This truth echoes through Raymond's story as well. Each night, after finishing his rounds as a janitor, he would open his sketchpad and draw. With careful strokes, he illustrated the office he yearned to occupy, the home he longed to build, the life he felt stirring in his soul. 5 years later, every detail of those drawings had manifested in his physical reality, down to the view from his window and the color of his desk. These stories illuminate a profound principle. Your inner vision becomes your outer destination. The images you hold in your mind are more than dreams. They are blueprints that universal intelligence uses to construct your reality. When you create a clear, emotionally charged picture of what you desire, you activate forces beyond your current understanding. The power of vision was not invented in modern times. It is an ancient practice, whispered through generations. The temples of old contained sacred halls of visualization, where initiates would sit for hours holding images of their desired reality until these visions became more real than their present circumstances. Sacred practice. Set aside a time of quiet solitude. Gather images, words, and symbols that represent your ideal prosperous life. This is not a mere craft project. It is a ritual of manifestation. As you create your vision page, infuse each element with deep feeling. Place this sacred document where you will see it daily, not as a reminder of what you lack, but as a declaration of what is already unfolding. Let your vision page become an altar of sorts, a focal point for your faith in the abundance that is even now moving toward you. Remember, what you see with spiritual eyes must eventually manifest in physical form. This is the law that governs all creation. Chapter 20. The Ritual of Receiving. In a small apartment overlooking a quiet street, Dorothy discovered a truth that would transform not only her life, but the lives of countless others who would learn from her story. Each evening, as twilight painted the sky in gentle hues, she would light a single candle and speak these simple words, "I receive with joy." You might wonder what power could lie in such a modest ritual. Yet within days, the universe began responding, first with small gifts, an unexpected refund, a forgotten lottery ticket that held a prize, a discount precisely when needed. As weeks passed, larger blessings flowed, an inheritance from a distant relative, investment opportunities that seemed crafted for her circumstances, connections that opened doors she hadn't known existed. The truth revealed through Dorothy's experience is both subtle and profound. Receiving is not a passive state, but an active energy. When you stand in the posture of receptivity, hands open, heart willing, spirit expectant, you align with the natural flow of abundance. Most souls unconsciously resist this flow, believing themselves unworthy or maintaining a grip of control that actually constricts supply. Consider Wallace, whose story mirrors this wisdom from another angle. For years, he carried the weight of financial guilt, believing that wealth was somehow wrong or spiritual success meant material sacrifice. His transformation began when he created a simple daily practice. Standing with palms upturned, he would bless both what he had and what was coming. As his resistance melted through this ritual, life responded with increasing generosity. These stories unveil an eternal principle. Ritual is not mere symbolism. It is a doorway through which energy flows. When you create sacred space and conscious ceremony around receiving, you transmute the frequency of your being. You become a clear channel through which abundance can flow unimpeded. The lighting of Dorothy's candle was more than a physical act. It was a signal to the invisible realms that she was ready, willing, and worthy to receive. Each flame became a beacon, calling forth the prosperity that had always been waiting to reach her. Sacred practice. In the ancient tradition of those who understood the power of ritual, you are invited to create your own ceremony of receiving. Each night for 7 days, light a candle in a quiet space. As the flame springs to life, speak these words with conviction. I am open to receive the highest good. I accept abundance now. Let the candlelight remind you that just as it illuminates the darkness, so too does your willingness to receive light the path to prosperity. This is not merely a practice, it is a proclamation to the universe that you are ready to accept its infinite gifts. Part 3, The Overflow, Becoming the Living Secret of Wealth. Chapter 21, The Goldsmith's Touch. In the heart of an ancient marketplace, a metalsmith named Sylvia toiled at her craft, her hands working precious metals while her spirit remained heavy with worry. Though her artistry was undeniable, her small shop struggled to attract those who could appreciate her work. Until one morning, as golden sunlight streamed through her workshop window, she received an insight that would alter not just her fortunes, but her understanding of universal law. You see, Sylvia began infusing each piece she created with sacred intention. As her hands shaped gold and silver, her lips whispered blessings of abundance, prosperity, and joy. May the wearer of this ring know infinite supply, she would murmur, her fingers working the metal with newfound reverence. Let this necklace carry the energy of divine prosperity. What transpired next revealed a fundamental truth about the nature of manifestation. Customers began reporting strange coincidences after purchasing her jewelry. Business opportunities materialized, unexpected windfalls appeared, and fortune seemed to favor those who wore her creations. Soon, word spread about the lucky gold from Sylvia's shop, and what was once a struggling business became a sanctuary of prosperity. This principle of spiritual alchemy, where thought, emotion, and action merge in sacred harmony, finds its echo in the tale of Russell, a humble farmhand. Each morning, as he tended the fields, he approached every task, no matter how mundane, with complete presence and joyful intention. Whether mending fences or feeding livestock, he would silently affirm, "This work is blessed. This moment is precious." Over time, his consciousness of abundance began to manifest in remarkable ways. The sections of field he tended yielded more abundant harvests. The animals under his care thrived inexplicably. Eventually, his unique approach to farming caught the attention of wealthy landowners, leading to opportunities that transformed his circumstances entirely. These stories illuminate a profound truth. The Midas touch is not about turning things to gold through mere contact. It is about aligning your entire being with the frequency of abundance. When thought, word, and deed harmonize in the key of prosperity, the universe must respond in kind. Sacred practice. Select one daily action that you perform regularly. It might be preparing morning coffee, organizing your desk, or tending to plants. Approach this task with complete presence, blessing it silently with the words, "This is gold." Feel these words resonate through your being as you perform the action. This practice transforms the mundane into the miraculous, awakening the alchemist within you who knows that all life can be transmuted into abundance. Chapter 22. The Invisible Contracts of Wealth. In a sun-dappled attic, beneath layers of dust and memory, Eudora discovered an old leather-bound diary. As she opened its weathered chapters, her eyes fell upon words written in her youthful hand. Declarations that had unknowingly shaped her financial destiny. Money corrupts the soul. Wealth makes people evil. It's noble to be poor. You hold within your consciousness similar contracts with prosperity, invisible agreements penned in the ink of early experiences, family beliefs, and societal programming. These sacred contracts, though unseen, govern the flow of abundance in your life with the precision of universal law. As Eudora began crossing out each limiting vow and writing new ones in their place, something shifted in the fabric of her reality. Orders increased at her shop. Customers who once haggled over prices now gladly paid in full. Opportunities arose as if summoned by her renewed relationship with prosperity. The universe operates through these subtle agreements. When you declare, "Money is scarce," the infinite intelligence of creation must honor your decree. Yet when you consciously revoke these old contracts, you free yourself to write new ones aligned with truth. Consider Frank, whose musical career had been marked by a peculiar pattern. Whenever success approached, it would mysteriously slip away. One evening, while cleaning his studio, he found a notebook filled with his own handwriting. "I don't deserve success. Artists must struggle. Money will ruin my creativity." In a moment of clarity, Frank understood these were not mere thoughts but binding agreements he had made with the universe. One by one, he tore out these chapters, declaring instead, "Wealth is the natural expression of my gifts. Prosperity flows through my music. My abundance blesses all." Within months, his music found new audiences, and opportunities he had long dreamed of manifested with surprising ease. The old contract was null and void. A new agreement had taken its place. Sacred practice. Take a moment now to write down one old belief about money that no longer serves your highest good. Draw a line through it with intention, knowing you are revoking its power over your life. Beneath it, write your new contract with prosperity. I now agree to prosper in joy, truth, and alignment. Sign and date this declaration, understanding that the universe witnesses and honors your new choice. Place this document where you will see it daily, remembering that you have the power to rewrite your destiny at any moment. Chapter 23. The Wellspring Within. In a small town where steam rose from the laundry houses each morning, Clarabelle pressed and folded the garments of others, her hands moving mechanically while her spirit yearned for more. Each coin she earned seemed to whisper of limitation until one dawn when she discovered an ancient truth that would transform her understanding of supply. You see, like Clarabelle, you may believe your abundance flows from external sources, your work, your investments, other people. Yet this perception keeps you tethered to the illusion of separation from your true source. When Clarabelle began sitting in silence each morning, connecting to the infinite well of abundance within, her outer world shifted with remarkable swiftness. Customers doubled, then tripled. Opportunities arose that she had never imagined possible. The eternal truth remains: wealth does not flow to you, it flows from you. You are not seeking connection to abundance, you are abundance seeking expression. Every external channel through which prosperity arrives is merely an instrument of the infinite source that dwells within your own being. Consider Oswald, a clerk who spent years attempting to control every aspect of his financial life. He tracked every penny, pursued every lead, and still felt perpetually lacking. Only when he released his grip on outer circumstances and turned his attention to the quiet wellspring within did abundance begin to flow naturally into his experience. His revelation came not through striving, but through surrendering to the truth of his inner connection to all supply. The universe does not respond to your actions nearly as much as it responds to your alignment with Source. When you recognize that the fountain of all prosperity bubbles up from within you, external circumstances must rearrange themselves to match this inner knowing. This truth has been whispered through the ages. You are never separate from your source. Your task is not to gather wealth from the world, but to allow the wealth within you to flow outward, taking form in perfect ways. Sacred practice. Find a quiet space where you will not be disturbed. Place your hand upon your heart, the gateway to your inner source. Close your eyes and repeat with deepening conviction, I am connected to the infinite source. I am never without. Let each word resonate through your being. Feel the truth of it in your cells. Breathe it into every corner of your consciousness. Know it as you know your own name. This is not an affirmation. It is a remembrance of what has always been true. Chapter 24. The Coin of Certainty. In a humble chapel at the edge of town, Dolores stood before the donation box, her last copper coin catching the light from stained glass windows. Without hesitation, she dropped it in, whispering words that would alter the fabric of her reality. I know more is coming. Not hope, not wish, not maybe, but no. You see, there exists a power greater than mere positive thinking. It is the unwavering certainty that moves mountains and opens the floodgates of abundance. When Dolores released her final coin, she did so not from desperation but from an unshakable knowing that the universe would respond in kind. Within days, unexpected checks arrived. A forgotten investment matured. A relative remembered her in their will. The flow continued, each instance confirming what she had known in that sacred moment of giving. That supply was certain. This is the law that governs all manifestation. The universe does not respond to your wishes, but to your knowing. When you plant a seed, you do not hope it will grow. You know it must, for that is law. So it is with abundance. Consider Clinton, the carpenter whose cynicism had built walls around his prosperity. For years he scoffed at spiritual principles until desperation led him to try something different. He began with absolute conviction. It is done. Not it will be, not it might be, but it is done. His certainty carved new channels through which abundance could flow, and within months his craftsmanship was sought by the wealthiest clients in 3 counties. You must understand, the universe is not testing your worthiness for abundance. It is measuring your certainty. When you declare with unwavering faith that something is already accomplished in the unseen realms, physical reality has no choice but to conform to your knowing. This is not about forcing yourself to believe what seems impossible. It is about aligning with the truth that already exists, that abundance is your natural state, and certainty is your divine right. Sacred practice. Stand before a mirror each morning for 7 days. Look into your own eyes and declare with absolute conviction, I walk in certainty. What I ask for is already mine. Let your voice carry the weight of knowing, not the lightness of hoping. Feel the truth of these words in your very cells. This is not an exercise in positive thinking. It is a declaration of what has already been accomplished in the realm of pure potential. Chapter 25, The Prosperous Path of Least Resistance. In the heart of a bustling city lived Millie, a dedicated nurse who believed that harder work meant greater rewards. Each day she took extra shifts, worked longer hours, and pushed herself beyond exhaustion, all in pursuit of financial security. Yet the more she struggled, the more money seemed to slip through her fingers like water through cupped hands. You see, Millie had fallen into the common trap of believing that prosperity must be earned through suffering. But the universe operates on different principles entirely. True abundance flows not through strain, but through alignment with your soul's natural expression. For Millie, this expression was a song. On rare weekends when she allowed herself to sing at local gatherings, her entire being lit up with joy. Yet she dismissed these moments as mere indulgence, unworthy of serious attention. Until one day, exhausted and depleted, she surrendered her resistance and began accepting more singing invitations. What happened next revealed a profound truth about the nature of prosperity. As Millie followed her joy, unexpected doors opened. Private events led to paid performances. A wealthy patron offered to sponsor her first album. Money began flowing with an ease she had never known through all her years of striving. This principle was similarly illustrated through Ernest, a man who had spent years forcing a consulting business that drained his spirit. Each day felt like pushing a boulder uphill, until he finally listened to the quiet voice within that had always drawn him to teaching children. The moment he redirected his energy toward what truly lit him up, his financial struggles began to dissolve. Students appeared, word spread, and soon he had a waiting list, all because he dared to follow what felt light instead of what felt heavy. You must understand this vital truth. The universe designed prosperity to flow through channels of joy. When you align with what brings you genuine delight, you tap into the natural current of abundance. This is not irresponsibility, it is spiritual law in action. Struggle is not a prerequisite for wealth. In fact, it is often a signal that you're pushing against the natural flow of life. Your joy is not a distraction from your path to prosperity. It is the path itself. Sacred practice. Each morning, sit in silence and ask yourself, what feels joyful today? Listen carefully to the answer that arises from your heart, not your mind. Then, take one small step in that direction. Perhaps it's spending 10 minutes writing poetry or taking a different route to work through a beautiful park. Follow these gentle nudges of joy, knowing they are breadcrumbs leading you to your highest prosperity. Watch closely for the synchronicities that follow. They are confirmation that you are in alignment with the flow of abundance. Chapter 26. The Kingdom of Overflow. In a small town where scarcity seemed to rule every household, there lived a woman named Hattie who understood a truth that few had grasped. Though her cupboards held little and her purse contained only copper pennies, she carried within her heart an inexhaustible wellspring of abundance. You see, Hattie had discovered that true wealth begins not with accumulation, but with circulation. Each morning, as she walked to her modest job at the local store, she would silently bless every sign of prosperity she witnessed: the well-kept gardens, the fresh bread in the baker's window, the jingling coins in a child's pocket. "Their abundance is my abundance," she would whisper, feeling joy rise within her like a golden sun. This practice seemed foolish to those who knew her circumstances, yet Hattie understood that the universe operates through spiritual law, not human logic. By blessing the wealth of others, she was declaring her oneness with the infinite flow of divine supply. As weeks passed, subtle shifts began occurring. A customer would leave an unexpectedly generous tip. A neighbor would share surplus from their garden. Soon, Hattie's small acts of blessing created ripples that returned to her multiplied, yet she never stopped blessing others even as her own prosperity grew. This eternal truth was also witnessed in the life of Norman, a humble clerk who worked in the town's only bank. Each day he watched money flow through his window, some depositing great sums, others withdrawing their last dollars. Instead of envying the wealthy or pitying the poor, Norman began silently blessing every transaction. This is divine circulation in action. Their prosperity enriches all. To his amazement, this practice began transforming his own financial reality. Opportunities appeared, investments flourished, and abundance flowed, not because he had grasped for it, but because he had aligned himself with the natural law of circulation. You must understand this profound principle. The universe exists in a constant state of overflow. Look at nature. Trees produce thousands more seeds than needed. Flowers release endless fragrance without depleting themselves. Rivers flow continuously. This abundance is your natural state. When you bless the prosperity of others, you declare your participation in this infinite flow. Scarcity is an illusion born of separation, a false belief that keeps you tethered to fear and lack. In truth, all wealth is one wealth, circulating through countless channels but originating from a single source, the infinite wellspring of divine abundance. By blessing the abundance you witness in others, you dissolve the barriers of limitation in your own consciousness and align yourself with the eternal flow of prosperity. When you see another's success as separate from your own, you create invisible walls that block the natural circulation of abundance. But when you recognize that their wealth is simply another expression of the same infinite source that supplies your own good, these walls crumble, allowing prosperity to flow freely through every avenue of your life. Sacred practice. Bless 3 people's abundance today, silently or aloud. Say, "Their overflow blesses me, and mine blesses all." Chapter 27. The Vault of Inner Alignment. In the heart of a bustling city, there lived an accountant named Gloria who understood numbers perfectly, yet wealth seemed to slip through her fingers like water through a sieve. Though she manifested money regularly through her skilled work and strategic mind, it never stayed long enough to create lasting abundance. You see, Gloria's thoughts sparkled with visions of wealth, yet her emotions trembled with fear of loss. Her actions spoke of scarcity even as her mind dreamed of prosperity. This misalignment created invisible cracks through which her manifestations leaked away. The universe responds not to what you think alone, but to the unified signal of your entire being. When Gloria finally understood this truth, she began a sacred practice of alignment. She noticed how her body tensed when speaking of money, how her voice shook when naming her prices, how her thoughts soared while her feelings sank. Day by day, she brought each aspect of herself into harmony. Her thoughts of abundance began matching her emotional state of gratitude. Her actions reflected the prosperity she envisioned. Like a master craftsman sealing a precious vessel, she closed the gaps between her inner and outer world. This eternal principle manifested clearly in the life of Reuben, a postman who walked his route each day. At first, his steps were heavy with burden, while his words spoke of dreams, creating discord in his energy field. But as he learned to align himself, everything shifted. His walk became confident, his words carried authority, and his thoughts remained steady in prosperity consciousness. You must understand, the universe seeks harmony. When your thoughts reach for the stars while your emotions dig into the earth, you create resistance to the natural flow of abundance. But when every aspect of your being moves in concert, your thoughts, feelings, and actions all singing the same song of prosperity, you become an unshakable vessel of wealth. True alignment feels like coming home to yourself. It is the end of inner argument, the cessation of contradiction. When you think about wealth, feel wealth, and act wealth, you become a sealed vault that can hold and multiply abundance. Sacred practice. Ask, do my thoughts, emotions, and actions all match the wealth I desire? Take a moment of stillness to examine each level of your being. Notice where resistance lurks, where doubt casts its shadow. Perhaps your thoughts soar with visions of abundance while your heart trembles with scarcity. Or maybe your mind harbors fear while your actions already embody prosperity. Choose one element that feels most out of alignment and adjust it today, whether through a shifted thought, a released emotion, or a refined action. This single adjustment, however small, begins to bring your entire being into harmony with the wealth you seek. Chapter 28, The Golden Echo. In the quiet corners of life, a truth whispers that few have ears to hear. Money is not a force, but an echo. This ancient wisdom revealed itself through Irene, a poet whose financial fortunes rose and fell like leaves in an autumn wind. At first, she saw no pattern in these fluctuations, until a deeper understanding dawned within her heart. You see, money responds to the tone you set in the chamber of your consciousness. Like a mountain valley returning your call, it can only echo what you send forth. Irene noticed that when her spirit soared with joy and gratitude, unexpected checks would arrive. When fear gripped her heart, clients would delay payments. The correlation was unmistakable. Her inner state was setting the tone for her outer experience. This is the forgotten law of resonance. You do not attract what you want, you attract what you are. Money, in its essence, is merely energy responding to energy. It flows naturally toward those who emanate the frequency of abundance, peace, and trust. It ebbs away from those broadcasting scarcity, anxiety, and doubt. Consider Horace, a merchant whose life transformed when he grasped this truth. For years, he approached each transaction with subtle fear. Fear of loss, fear of rejection, fear of not enough. His ledger reflected these fears with uncanny precision, but when he consciously shifted his inner tone to joy, something remarkable occurred. Customers began responding differently. Payments arrived with ease. Creative ideas flowed freely. His entire financial landscape shifted to mirror his new vibration. You must understand, the universe is not testing you or withholding from you. It is simply returning, with perfect accuracy, the signal you are broadcasting. When you worry about money, you send out the frequency of lack, and lack must answer. When you trust in abundance even before evidence appears, abundance must respond. This is not magical thinking. It is spiritual law, as real and constant as gravity itself. Every thought, every emotion, every belief about money sends ripples through the field of infinite possibility, touching the very fabric of creation. These ripples return as experience, manifesting in ways both subtle and profound. You are not at the mercy of circumstances or bound by the limitations others may place upon abundance. You are the tone setter of your financial reality, the architect of your own prosperity. Through your conscious awareness and deliberate choice of vibration, you shape the very substance of your material world. Sacred practice. Take a moment now to write in your journal, what is my dominant financial tone? Listen deeply to the music your thoughts and feelings are making about money. Are you broadcasting fear or faith? Scarcity or abundance? Resistance or flow? Notice without judgment, then consciously choose a new tone that aligns with the wealth you wish to experience. Remember, the echo cannot change until the call does. Chapter 29, The Final Veil. In the depths of silence, where all illusions dissolve, Lenora discovered the final secret. Each morning, this gentle mystic would sit in her garden, eyes closed, breath steady. Yet one dawn, something shifted. As the first rays of sunlight touched her face, the rigid boundaries of self began to melt away. In that sacred moment, she realized there was no out there to reach for, no abundance to attract. She was the abundance she sought. You too stand at this threshold of understanding. The greatest illusion that keeps you from your natural state of wealth is the belief in separation. When you imagine abundance as something distant, something to be chased or earned, you perpetuate the very gap that seems to keep it from you. But this gap exists only in thought, never in truth. Consider Elias, who spent years pursuing wealth through force of will. His days were filled with strategies, affirmations, and ceaseless effort. Yet true abundance remained elusive until the moment he surrendered. In deep exhaustion, he finally let go of the chase. In that release, a profound truth emerged. He had been trying to attract what he already was. This is the deepest teaching of the ancient ones. There is no separation between you and the infinite supply of the universe. Your very essence is abundance itself. When you breathe abundance. When you move in abundance. The only distance between you and wealth is the thought that there could be distance. The universe does not withhold, it cannot, for it is not separate from you. Supply flows not to you, but as you. Every heartbeat pulses with this truth. Every breath affirms your oneness with all that is. When you truly grasp this, manifestation becomes effortless because you no longer try to attract from outside what is already present within. Let this wisdom sink deeply into your being. You are not reaching for abundance. You are abundance reaching for remembrance of itself. The moment you dissolve the illusion of separation, you return to your natural state of overflow. In truth, you have never been apart from the infinite stream of prosperity that flows through all creation. Like a wave that momentarily forgets it is the ocean itself, you need only remember your true nature. When you awaken to this profound understanding, Every cell of your being vibrates with the frequency of limitless abundance, for you are not merely a vessel to be filled, you are the very source from which all abundance springs forth. Sacred practice. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed. Close your eyes and breathe deeply. In the silence between thoughts, repeat these words. There is no separation between me and my abundance. Feel the truth of this statement in every cell of your body. Let all sense of striving dissolve. Rest in knowing that you and abundance are one. The universe is not withholding. It is waiting for you to remember. Chapter 30. You are the secret. In a sunlit study filled with leather-bound journals, Virginia traced her fingers across chapters yellowed by time. For decades she had written of her longings, her questions, her search for life's hidden truths. Now, as she read through these chronicles of her journey, something extraordinary revealed itself. A golden thread woven through every entry, every reflection, every moment of insight. The truth you seek has always whispered through your own words, your own thoughts, your own being. Like Virginia, you have carried within you the very essence of abundance, even as you searched for it elsewhere. The secret is not hidden in ancient texts or distant mysteries. It flows through your veins, speaks through your voice, and reveals itself through your existence. When you understand that you are not separate from the source of all abundance, but rather a living expression of it, everything shifts. The universe does not give to you. It gives through you. You are not reaching for prosperity. You are the channel through which it naturally flows. Consider how a river does not attract water. It is the water, moving, flowing, expressing itself in perfect harmony with its nature. So too are you the very substance of abundance, not merely its seeker or recipient. In the quiet depths of his modest home, Ned stood before an old mirror, its frame worn by years of use. As he gazed at his reflection, something profound stirred within him. "It was always me," he whispered, and in that moment of recognition, the illusion of separation dissolved. He saw that his search for wealth had been like a wave searching for the ocean, futile because it was already what it sought. This revelation illuminates your own journey. Every circumstance you have attracted, every manifestation you have created, has been the universe expressing itself through you. You are not learning how to attract abundance, you are remembering that you are abundant in form. The law of attraction, in its deepest truth, is not about pulling something toward you. It is about allowing what you already are to express itself fully through you. Like a flower does not attract sunlight, but naturally unfolds in its presence, you need only open to what already flows through your being. Practice. Stand in silence. Place hand on heart and say, "The secret is not what I have. It is what I am." Repeat 3 times. If you enjoyed this audiobook, I created a free ebook version for you. You can download it using the link in the pinned comment. Conclusion. Through these sacred chapters, you have not merely read words, you have remembered what your soul has always known. The journey of wealth consciousness is not a destination to reach, but an awakening to what eternally flows. As you close this book, know that its wisdom will continue to work within you like seeds planted in fertile soil. The greatest truth revealed is that abundance was never separate from your being. It flows as naturally as breath, as consistently as heartbeat, when you align with your divine nature. Each practice, each teaching, each moment of insight has served to strip away the illusions that kept you from knowing this. Remember, the universe speaks in whispers of synchronicity, in gentle nudges of intuition, in moments of pure knowing. Your task now is to remain receptive to these sacred signals, to walk in the certainty of your connection to infinite supply. The practices you have learned are not mere exercises. They are keys to maintaining your alignment with the flow of universal abundance. You now understand that true wealth is not measured in accounts or assets, but in the depth of your conscious connection to Source. When you live from this truth, the material world cannot help but reflect your inner state of abundance. This is the natural law, as certain as gravity, as reliable as the dawn. Stay anchored in the practices that resonate most deeply with you. Let them become as natural as breathing. Know that each time you affirm your oneness with abundance, each time you bless others' prosperity, each time you give thanks before evidence appears, you strengthen your connection to the infinite flow. This wisdom will continue to expand within you, revealing new layers of truth as you are ready to receive them. For the secret of lasting abundance is not in the gathering, but in the becoming. Becoming the self who knows, lives, and breathes prosperity as their natural state of being. Walk forward now in the quiet confidence that you are and have always been one with the source of all supply. The journey has not ended, it has only begun to deepen. If you enjoyed this exclusive audiobook, I handpicked this next book which will change your life.